Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Doodle Robot and today we're going to do a couple of things. This is a robot report. I'm not sure which number report it is, but we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do Hanna Karlzon Day because the day I'm filming is October 5th and I saw on Instagram it was Hanna Karlzon Day. I'm not going to go into why, but we wish you all the best, Hanna. So I'm going to look at all of my Hanna pictures that I've colored in my books. I have all of her books, I think, except that new one. It's not available yet here. And then I have some viewer questions and some viewer questions about me demonstrating how I did some things. So, up first, with no further ado, is Hanna Karlzon books. Everything I've colored in a Hanna Karlzon book. We've got the space coloring book. This book is so cute, like little space things. It's adorable. All right, I've only colored one in here, my space flower. Looks like I colored that about a year ago. I think that's just mostly paint. Actual paint, acrylic paint, and I think some possibly paint markers. And it was just block painting. If I was shading, I used a little stippling. That's it. I like to block paint for relaxation. All right, I'm going to be throwing them on the floor, so you might hear that. This is Tales from Atlantis. There's two in here. This is a fabulous book. It's the underwater one, so of course I like it a lot. Lots of good pages there. So we have the, what are these? Jellyfish page here. It's a Prismacolor background. And I think the jellyfish are, oh, I used my new granulating watercolors. They were new when I did this one. So you can see the granulation effect as a base for the jellyfish. And then on top is just gel pens and acrylic paint markers. All right, and we have, I believe this one is a full page color along on my channel. Seahorses. This is a Prismacolor background again. I've talked about when I stem, I like to just take one or two colors and just do a very complicated background. That's very relaxing for me. And I could do it with Prismacolor, I could do it with paint, any multitude of things, but a very simple background. The corals here are granulating watercolor. I like how it gives them that texture of corals, that mottled look that they have. And then just the seahorses are Prismacolor. And then gel pens, I think gel pens. I'm not sure if I used any acrylic paint markers. Doesn't look like I did. All right. Let's see, we got, okay, so a lot of these were colored in my Daydreams group. I'm going to move you a little bit here so we can get the full pictures. Except for the first one. I think the first one I did way back when I got the book. So the first one from 21. Oh, I was a newbie colorist then. I think I just started coloring in February of 21. So this is one of my first books. And it's just, I think it's all Prismacolor, because I think that's all I had then. So, let's see here. And then, I think all the rest have come from my group buddy color that we have. This is a whip. I've been actually working on it a little bit. I started working on these. This, like, you can see the base here. I've been started filling those in with a new product that I got. I got to shoot a video about that. Somebody sent me a product, so awesome. I love it too. It's like the stuff that comes in the box is like the perfect color palette for this page, so I may use it a lot on this page. So this was one of our first group color alongs. I haven't finished it yet. It's my only whip from this book. I think I did all the ones in this book in our group buddy color, and yeah, I don't know why that's there. And then, oh, this was a whole experimenting page on my channel where I was just playing with stuff. when the group picked this this particular page, I was like, oh, it's been done so many times. How can I do it differently? So I just went full experimental, granulating watercolors and various other things. Oh, I got a new way to use some product here on the dragonfly wings. If you want to check out that channel, that video, you can to see that. It's you know, some parts of it are a super success as far as the experimenting goes, and some not as much, which happens when you're experimenting. But I love to experiment. I missed my calling as a mad scientist, I think, a vampire mad scientist. All right, here we go. Here I'm using my granulating watercolors again. I'm addicted to those things. I think these are the Gamzai Tambi ones. I bought two. I bought Gamzai Tambi and the whole range of White Knight's granulating watercolor. The background is its own horror story, but I painted over that several times. You can actually see some of the bleed through. Yeah. But anyways, I ended up with that as the background, so yeah, I think it's granulating watercolors, Prismacolor, some gouache, hemi-gouache paints in there for the branch. And, one of my favorites. This might be my favorite in the book. We've got the tiny life at the base of a tree. I demonstrated in a couple videos, I think, how to do the base of the tree. I actually painted it with acrylic paint, matte. You can go over that with colored pencil. It will stick to it. But we did it in a very kind of impressionistic way to make the bark for the base of the tree. I just love how poppy it is off the tree. And there's lots, this is Prismacolor here, but most of it is just water-based marker and gel pens, acrylic paint markers. Like this is Prismacolor, but these are water-based markers here. I'm starting to really figure out how to blend with those. I've been really embracing that a lot. Hanna Karlzon paper is great for all that water media. It's fun. So my group has switched to seasons now. And I think we're on our first seasons page. This was not a page we did in the group. This was one I did a long time ago in 21 again. Of course, bugs. I love bugs. This is actually in the, I think it's in the fall section, but I added snowflakes in there. I don't know. There was something about an Olga Rani color along in it, and I had, this was a whip for a long time, and so I added, maybe it was snowflake, maybe I just added snowflake so I could finish it and turn it in as that. Sometimes her color alongs come along just at the right time. Oh, and I love this one. I think it came out really good. I was not excited, like Maya, I was not excited about this page, but I looked up some, I didn't even know if I didn't know what these were. I think that we decided in the group they were foxes, but, you know, being from the Southwest, I would have been like, are they coyotes? What are they? So, they're foxes. I looked up a few of these done pages, and they all had bokeh backgrounds, so I'm like, oh, I don't have any ideas for the page, so I did a fake bokeh background here. And I had a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to demo how I did this later in this video. And I based the foxes with some kind of watercolor paint, I can't remember what. And then I based it again with Prismacolor color, kind of a raspberry color. And then I did Prismacolor on top of it. Oh, in our group we were talking about fur. And my opinion on fur is this. It hurts for some reason to make that little like flecky motion to make the fur. I don't, just sends pains all up and down my arm. So I don't do that. So I've decided I want to participate. I don't want to be limited to not doing animals with fur. So I've just decided that it's like, you know what, if they have fur, they're just going to be a smooth Prismacolor thing. Smooth, either paint or some sort of knot where I have to fleck. You saw in Daydreams here that on the cat page, I knew that hurt my hand, so I was trying to do it with paint, which is less less hard on your joints than colored pencil. And I'm not crazy about that look either. I will finish that cat in the paint, but not super crazy. So that was kind of an experiment there. Not super crazy about that whole thing. But anyways, I've just decided that that's how we're going to attack fur these days. We'll call it stylized. When in doubt, just call it stylized or abstracted. There you go. Nobody has to know the difference. All right, so I think that is it for seasons. In our Hanna Karlzon group, our next page, let's see, September, we're doing folklores and fairy tales. So now October, so this is November. October, we're doing folklores and fairy tale group. So this will be November, the acorn page. Super cool. We had 4 to choose from. There was like a 3-way tie, so I'm like, oh, we need more votes, please. The other one was a really cute bird, and this one that I was trying to debate against, I voted for the bird, but I also really liked this one, so this will be interesting. I have no idea what I'm going to do there, but I have a whole month to think about it before I start, so yeah, that'll be our page for November. And then in Jewelry Box, we have, I love this page too. It's a simple page-ish. I just did a checkerboard background. That's paint. On top of it are just the bugs are done in various gel crayons. Sorry, not gel crayons. Gel pens, shiny and flat. And acrylic paint markers. So just a whole bunch of those. And then the scripting that you see is a stencil with gel crayon. The dragonflies are a stencil with just either gel pen or acrylic paint marker. So yeah, this was so fun to do. I love this one. I love checkerboard backgrounds. I don't use them often enough because I think people get tired of them, but if I could, I'd use them every month. And maybe I will start to do that. Who knows? And then my last Hanna Karlzon page. Sorry for the wiggly table. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. I still don't have a shelf. I have to buy a drill. Is the little lizard sunning himself under the moon. So yeah, so there's some shiny stuff on there. The moon is shiny stuff. I love how the moon came out. The moon wasn't there. I had to add the moon. I like the color palette. I like the yellow lizard. So that is it for all of my Hanna Karlzon pages that I have done. Thank you, Hanna Karlzon, for being such an awesome illustrator. All right. Up next is, I had a question. Looks like I'm going to have to raise you up a little bit here. Adjust you a little. Okay, there we go. Checking out my new filming situation here, which the desk is wiggly, so the camera's wiggly, sorry. I had a question about my Inktense collection and supplementing it with other items. So, I do not have all of the Inktense. I bought the 36 set. So you can see that here. This is the 36 set up to there, not the outliner. I don't even know what that is. I've bought a few other Inktense to supplement the set. This was when I was blowing through towns that had a Blick store. Yeah, where I live, we don't have a Blick store because Blick will usually have all of the colors and you can just buy them open stock. So I haven't gotten, now they're up to 100. So when I got the 36 set, they only had 72. Then they brought out a few more to make it 100, which sounds awesome, which I don't have those yet. But I saw on Colored by Maya's channel, and she's like, you can supplement them with some of the super colors that are really light. So I went, when I was at a Blick store, I went and did that. I got these super colors here. later I got some of the other ones here. And at my local Joann's there was a Derwent watercolors, so I supplemented. They're really light too. I added a few light purples in there as well. So that's how I supplemented my little mini Inktense collection with some lighter colors. I don't use them enough to really warrant buying any more at this point in time. If I start to use them more, maybe. We shall see. Alright, so that was the Inktense question. They're all here in this one. I've just got them done by number so I can easily find them. And then there's my super colors and my 2 Derwent watercolor pencils there. The rest of this are just various kind of expensive pencils. I just have, I'm a Prismacolor girl through and through, so I don't feel the need to buy that many. I've bought enough to realize that I'm a Prismacolor girl of the nice pencil sets. Probably what I liked the best was the Pablos. I haven't used the Luminance enough yet to know about that. But yeah, nothing has convinced me that there's anything better than Prismacolor out there yet, so I stick to that. Alright, and the other question was about supplies, was my watercolor marker collection. So I will show you that. Getting the least amount of use, I have the Crayola Colors of the World markers. So these are water-based markers. They're awesome. I like these better than these because this nib here is so tiny. Sorry for the noise. It chews up the paper a bit because it's pretty tiny nib, so I find it chews up the paper. So I like the bigger marker for this. Now I've noticed when using Crayola it's scary because it goes on and the paper looks really splotchy, but wait for it to dry and it dries beautifully. It dries nice and flat looking, like there's no funny streaks or anything in it, so keep that in mind when using Crayola watercolor, water-based markers. I use these the least, probably because they're not a brush tip. And then I have my AOO 100 set, supplemented with the AOO skin tone set. The skin tone, look at those beautiful colors. And so back when I got it, the 100 set came in this wonderful little case, which was a big selling point because I'm like, oh, I'll use them more if I can actually find them. And I just did them by, I think at first I did them by color, but then I couldn't find anything. So I went back and I just did them by number. So they're just in numeric order so that I can easily find them. And I just refer to them. I find what colors I want for my swatches here. So one thing I'm not going to show you, oh, I do have it out. Papermate Flare. I guess that's a water-based marker. It's more difficult to use. Papermate Flare, yeah. They look like this. It's kind of the tip that it's depending on the paper, sometimes it chews the paper up. So it's more of a writing pen though, I would say. But in detail like mandalas and stuff, yeah, it's a go-to. You got to be careful though, it will bleed through on some papers, whereas other water-based markers won't. So I have loved the AOO water-based markers. Now that range is it's all mid-range colors for the most part. Not enough lights, so I bought the skin tone because there's no skin tones in there, which was a good supplement. Like I said, they've worked really well. And it's interesting because they're quite different colors than, say, the colors of the world. Some are overlapping, but there's a lot of differences, so I was worried that it was going to be the same. But I like the brush tip markers better. And by brush tip, I mean brush tip, brush nib. I don't have my lights high enough there. They have a good tip. I like them. I've had these. These are going strong. These are over 3 years old. And just now, I've been using them a lot lately. Some are starting to run out just now after 3 years. All right. So, and then the last thing in water-based markers that I have is my Tombos. And this is the bag of Tombos that I have. I have gotten the Tombos, I think I bought some open stock like in a Blick store or something like that. Most of them have come from Walmart. Walmart gets like the pack of, I don't know, 5 or 6, and they're very inexpensively priced. Like $1 something per marker, whereas if you buy them open stock, they're like 3 something or high 2s. There's a few I bought packs. I think I bought the gray pack from Amazon. It was like a 10-pack maybe, for a very reasonable price. I look for when it's reasonably priced. If you buy them open stock, I think they're a little bit expensive. Although, tip, I did see on Wendy's channel, Wendy's Coloring, that she, instead of the Tombow, she got the, I want to say, Lyra markers. They pretty much look exactly like a Tombow, which has the brush tip and the kind of the marker nib. I don't know, the finer tip, but it's not a fine point tip. I would say that on the, I bought the AOOs because number one, they had the brush tip, which seemed very appealing, and number two, they have this fine tip marker, fine liners. These are terrible. I never use that side if I can avoid it. It like chews up the paper. Again, chews up the paper. Maybe other fine liners do that. I don't really know. I don't have any others, so I can't tell you. So that is my water-based marker collection. All right, so people have asked how I did 2 backgrounds. So I'm gonna pause you here for a moment. I'm gonna set up for those 2 backgrounds. I'll have the books out so I can show you, and then I can demo exactly how I did them for you. So we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back, and so the viewer questions, I had several questions about the one in Seasons here, the kind of fake book background here. How did I do that? So I'm going to demo that over here on this side. I've already painted the background, so we're ready for that. And the other question that I'm going to demo was again the shiny backgrounds. This one is from Night Voyage. It's this one. These come from my recent completed pages. Now I drew on all those mandalas, and by drew on I mean I drew them on some tracing paper and then I transferred them onto the page. So I've shown that transfer method multiple times in my videos, so you can have a look back at that. And so they were questioning how I did the background here. So we'll go over this background. All right, so that's our plan. Okay. Oh, I need to pause you one more second. We'll be right back. Okay, so for the one in Night Voyage, these are little sample mandalas. Now I just used a stencil to draw these. And then I outlined them in fine liner, probably micron, although for this example I used a different fine liner. I messy watercolor painted them. So you can see there, messy watercolor painting. Now some of these opaque areas, I went over them with Prismacolor. So we have some transparent areas with the messy watercolor, and then with broken up with opaque areas with the Prismacolor. Now I believe the question was more about the background. So the background was just, and I don't think that they sell this anymore, it was just a dollar store crafter square marker that looks like that. I think they only sell the gold these days. So it looks like that. So then I just tediously went around everything, and I actually did 3 layers because it was very streaky. So I did 1 layer kind of going like that. I let it dry. Oh, sorry, you're wiggling. I let it dry for however long, and then I did another layer going in a different direction as much as I could. And it's not streaky on this paper, but on the coloring book paper it was. And so I did a 3rd layer because I'm like obsessed with perfectionism apparently. So that is how I did that. And then, like I said, to make them opaque, I just did Prismacolor in some areas. Whoa. On top, only neater. So there you go. All right, so that is how I did that background. Now, the background in Seasons is slightly different. Oh, for the watercolors on this one, these are wet because I just used them. I used my Mei Liang, are those in shot? I can't even see. Pretty excellent watercolors, which have been very good. Although they do tend to bleed through paper, so you have to be careful. I think these are because they're dye-based. If you get one that's probably pigment-based, less so. I've noticed it bleeding through paper. So I may at some point replace those with pigment-based watercolors. Now, for this background, the fake bokeh background, in the back, I did 1 layer of, is it going to show up? Folk Art Metallic Blue Sapphire. These are different than the color shifts. The metallics are a little bit more opaque. A little bit more, depending on the color. Now the Blue Sapphire is more opaque than some of the other ones that I've seen. And so I just did 1 layer and it came out fine. If it was a little splotchy in areas, I touched it up. When that dried, now you got to test your color shifts because they color shift. So on white they're one color, on black they're a different color. So I did a test, which I have since thrown away, sorry. And these are the colors that came out not strange looking on top of the blue. So I used Pastel Purple, Blue Violet Flash, and Pastel Green. And for that, I just freehanded it. You want to give them a good shake. And I know I did not dip in the cap of my coloring here. And then I just did circles on top. It's a good exercise to practice your circles. So don't need to get stressed out about it. If it's not perfect, you can just adjust it as needed. And then kind of go out and smooth all the paint in your circle. It was quite an easy, you know, aside from having to paint that blue around all those little bitty mushrooms and stuff, that wasn't easy, but doing the circles, very easy. So that's all there was to it. Super simple with just those three colors. All right. So that is it for this episode of the Robot Report. I thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. Maybe I should lift that up so you can see it better. Let the light hit it just right so you can see it there. All right. I'll see you next time. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.